There's a silent killer to every wedding film, and most of us don't even realize what's missing until we're about 48 hours deep into the edit, and at that point, we're just ready to get it done. But the silent killer isn't something that you can actually see, it's what you don't hear. You know, it's easy to fall into the trap of obsessing over the visuals, forgetting that the way our film actually comes to life is through the way that it sounds. Now, I'm not a professional sound editor, sound designer. I've just picked up a few tricks along the way to help my films feel natural and immersive. So I want to share those with you guys today. But first, let's talk about the 3 pillars of wedding film audio, starting with your dialogue. This is the spoken word on the wedding day, and what carries the most emotional weight of the story. Next is your music, which is going to set the foundation for your pacing and the overall mood. And it's easily one of the most vital pieces of carrying your story forward, enhancing the emotion and leaving a strong impact. And last is your sound effects. Now this could be ambient sounds, Foley, creative sounds that have the potential to pull the viewer into the moment and create an immersive experience. And I've heard from filmmakers much more professional and better than myself that when it comes to the wedding film, the edit should be able to live without music. And the way that you can get your film to live without music is through powerful sound design. So let's start with the first layer of sound design, the ambient sound. This is your background layer. This is what's gonna make your scene feel more alive. The sounds you hear when you close your eyes in a space. Whether you're outside, you hear birds, you hear the wind, you hear traffic. Whether it's the tinnitus in your ear from all the years of standing too close to the DJ speaker during the dance floor. Ultimately, these sounds live in your edit to support your film and not distract from it. Your ambient sounds help the viewer feel as if they are there experiencing this day alongside with you. And it's just a simple way to add more production value to your wedding film. The second layer of sound design, which doesn't often cross into wedding films as much as it should, is Foley. These are sounds tied directly to what's happening on screen, in a literal sense. For wedding films, this could be a cork popping off a champagne bottle, the clinking of glass. And since a wedding day isn't an actual film set, a lot of these sounds have to be added later in post. But instead of spending time recreating these sounds yourself and making your fiance question her entire life choices, you should just use Musicbed Sounds, because there's been so many instances where I wish I had certain sounds to elevate the emotion of my film. Whether it was a couple laughing together, high quality cheers as they exit the ceremony. Because again, great films aren't just about what you can see, it's about what you can feel. And that comes alive when music and sound work together. And Musicbed just made this process so much easier. They've launched Musicbed Sounds, which contains over 150,000 curated sounds designed to work seamlessly with the music that you already trust. The same obsessive curation that they're known for in their music is now available in sounds. No generic filler, no bouncing between platforms. These are the kind of sounds used in films like Dune and Oppenheimer, designed to work seamlessly with the music you're already getting from them, which just makes building out our film's soundtrack so much more fluid. It's all in one place, so you can spend less time digging and more time creating. So if you're interested in checking out Musicbed for their music and their sounds, you can check the link down below to get a 14-day free trial. And last is where you really start getting creative and using effects that are more elaborate and transitory, that help move the story forward and elevate the feeling. And some sounds that I use to do this are tonal sound effects and creative sounds. Sounds like whooshes, which are a great way to help intensify the excitement within a moment, whether you're using a fast camera move on the dance floor or transitioning from a drone shot to a couple's portrait. This is where your style and your taste really come alive in the edit. Next is a riser. Now, risers are used to help build anticipation, transition between scenes, and elevate the emotional impact of a moment. And then one of my favorites is using tonal sounds. Now, these are great for just filling in the gaps between one soundtrack and another. They're great for just elevating the emotion, adding more power and dynamic to a song. and overall just making your film feel so much more intentionally curated. And a good rule of thumb is you can definitely overdo it with sound effects, so really just lean into being intentional, because it's not about adding everything in there, it's just about adding the right things that truly help move the story forward. And a few techniques that you can use to help your audio feel more cinematic is by using things like panning. Panning is where you can position sounds to the left or right to mimic real space. Next is one of my personal favorites, and that's using J-cuts. A J-cut is where you let the audio from the next scene fade in before the visuals actually show up on screen. This is great for leading into speeches or establishing new locations, and helps create those seamless transitions between shots. Or using an L-cut, where you can let the audio linger from the current scene into the next scene, which helps just tie everything together and keep that emotional thread connected. Adding reverb intentionally or creatively to elevate a certain moment. Next is using EQs so that your dialogue, your music, your sound effects don't compete with one another. You can create these EQs yourself, or I like to use these SoundGrades presets, especially for my dialogue. These have just been great drag and drop wonders, and it just helps simplify my workflow. And the last is your mixing, just keeping your levels consistent and making sure that your music's not overpowering your dialogue, your sound effects aren't overpowering your music, or vice versa. For my music, this generally sits between -12 and -20 dB on my timeline, and then for dialogue, this generally sits at +5 to +10, depending on how loud or how quiet things were generally captured on location. Ultimately, sound design turns your wedding film into an experience. It transports the viewer back into that exact moment and levels up your production value, which means that you can charge more because you've mastered how to tell a story through sound. But that's it for me. If you found this video helpful and valuable in some way, it would mean so much if you consider liking and subscribing. Drop a comment below if you have any sound design techniques, tips, tricks. I'd love to hear from you guys, so drop them down below, and until next time, keep creating and telling beautiful stories. Peace.